Hello, hello. Let's get that sound check ready. I've been talking to David behind the scenes. He's here. Dave is in the house. I saw somebody mention Martin Leakey. Tell him I said hello. I don't know if he's in the chat or not. I haven't talked to him in a while. Dave and I have been hitting it off. Audio's great. Moderators, we may have some troll checking to do today. It happens. Dave has a pretty long history of upsetting people. So I don't really have a lot in the way of announcements. You guys know I do have a video in the works right now. Well, I've got like 30 videos in the works. I've given you a full list a couple weeks ago. But one of them that's coming soon is we're going to completely dismantle the entire uniformitarian scientific dating method process. All the relative dating methods from carbon-14, potassium, argon, dendrochronology, ice core dating, they're all BS. Every single one of them are hoaxes. They've all been proven. You just got to know where to look. So using nothing but scientific reports, we're going to collapse that house of cards. But that's a video coming very, very quickly. But as far as that, anything else goes, I really don't have anything really important going on right now. Good to see you, Martin. Moderators, thank you very much. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest. Very polarizing individual, you guys know. He's very well known. But he really doesn't need any introduction from me. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, thanks for having me, Jason. Long time overdue. Looking forward to this conversation. Big time.
Sir. Yes, sir. You're one of the few guests that had me so discombobulated that I forgot my trademark fedora. I'm not even wearing my hat today. That's all right. I was so busy trying to get coffee, I forgot my hat.
That's all right. I got my flat Earth tee. If I take the top off, the surface is flat.
Oh, okay. The surface is flat. Well, hell, in that case, I'm wearing flat Earth. I'm drinking flat Earth coffee then, because that surface is pretty damn flat too.
There you go. All right. Thanks for having me. Great time.
Yeah, man. I'm just by way of introduction, my own community knows that there is fundamentally no differences between simulation theory and flat Earth theory. And it's because from the simulationist perspective, we understand here in Archaix that in order for a world builder to be able to have anything to build off of, they're going to start with a flat plane. And it seems to me that all curvature is just programming, and it's not even really real. It's like optics. But these are the things that we've discussed. Dave, we go here in Archaix, we got hundreds of presentations where we show from the chronological historical record that the sun is a local phenomenon. And Archaix didn't start off with this. This is when we pull up the reports from 1561. 1566 Nuremberg, when we pull up the all the research of Immanuel Velikovsky and Hans Bellamy and Harold T. Wilkins, all these great researchers for which modern day authors don't mention, like Graham Hancock, Andrew Collins, all these guys that have sensationalized history and created these false narratives. Here in Archaix, Dave, we have come to find out that there is no way the historical of record could have been unfolded this way. And many of these megalithic architectural structures could be aligned in the way that they are unless the sun is entirely a local phenomenon.
Archaeoastrology is one of the strongest proofs. You got all these buildings all over the world, built at different times that are pointing at specific star structures, and that they would all have to have planned into the future for them to point at them in 2025, except when they built them. I mean, it's an impossibility, absolute impossibility.
It is all very intriguing, but that's just the foundational material in Archaix. One of my personal interests, I believe I was going through Eric Dubé's material. I do have his book, 200 proofs that the world is not a spinning ball, 200 proofs. I have that in my library. I've showed it to my community. But I read that after I read Gleason, The World is Not a Globe, from I think it's 1893 or 1894. I have that book in my library as well. And I was reading about the Morley-Morrison experiment.
Michelson-Morley.
there. That's what it was. So these things are in passing, Dave, they were kind of interesting to me. I really didn't put much into it. But man, when I saw the flight paths for commercial airliners and how they do not make sense, if the world was a globe, why would you not want to go straight to what these different destinations? Why would you go so far out of the way? And then somebody showed me a flat Earth map, the same map that NASA has, the same map that the United Nations boasts, the same map that all these government intelligence agencies have as their sigil, as a flat Earth map, not a globe map. And then recently I showed my community, it was a total accidental find, but it was only 4 days ago, I believe. I totally accidentally came up on the Dymaxion map right after I had told my community that I was going to be talking to you. Are you familiar with the Dymaxion map?
Not by name, but maybe I've seen it. Which one is that?
You know what? I'll have to bring it up and show it to you. But the man took the globe and he rendered it into a tetrahedral form and laid it flat on a piece of paper, and it's a perfect flat Earth map. And I could not believe he did this in the 1950s, I believe. But I'll show you before the end of the show. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, I think I've seen it, but I never really investigated it. But one thing I want to say is I was very resistant to the word simulation for years. I'm like, oh, simulation, come on. I just wrote it off, never really looked into it. And I don't like the word, but there's not a better word for where we live, right? We live and I like to say in a physical simulation. So I noticed in a lot of the comments on some of the posts out there that I don't agree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. I don't have a solid model. This is a simple, excuse me, a simple idea of where we live in this toroidal field. This is a dielectric plane. I always say this is 1% of this whole system. It's actually less than 1%, right? This entire system that we live in is spiritual. The way I describe it is it's spirit. It's creation. We live here on this physical plane, and that's what we experience here. You and I right now in this physical body are experiencing this physical simulation. And everything above us is a whole nother story. I can only make unsupported claims based on ideas about what's above us. Right here, the Earth is level. It's not moving. It measures flat. And, that's where I take it. We're not on a ball. And, a lot of people are like, I'm not a flat earther, but I don't believe in the globe. If you don't believe in the globe, flat Earth covers the territory that you're in. You can call yourself a simulation earther, a non-baller, a true earther. As long as you're off the NASA ball, you're good. You're on the right path to taking back your divinity.
You're a lot closer than you were. Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. I have often in my own community expressed the idea that our language and our frames of reference are entirely limited. And yes, simulation is the best approximation for what it is, but I've described it as some type of hyperdimensional spiritual technology that has an entire stellosphere, a holographic template of moving luminaries that has us believing that the more you study the heavens, the more you almost conclude that, damn, I must be on a globe. But that's what it's designed to do. It's almost deceitful by design. It's like the inside of a toroidal field, and that we are on the flat plane in the middle of that toroidal field. And I even recently told my community that we have just as much evidence that there's a world below us facing the opposite direction, the other side of the toroidal field, and that these fields may flip. And when they do it, there's an exchange of materials. There's all kinds of exchange of materials between both of these worlds. And these worlds are at antipodes. I don't know. This is all theoretical, but there is a lot of evidence in the historical record for the idea.
We can theorize all of these things, right? I like to, I consider myself Flat Earth 101. Get off the ball. Understand there's no curvature. Understand that we're not spinning, flying through space. Understand that we're at the center of creation. And now let's talk about everything else. Once you're
Yeah.
there, let's try to figure out what this place is. Just a quick flight route. This is my favorite one. So New Zealand, so you got Australia around the corner to Argentina. FlightAware says this is the Great Circle route. This is the fastest route to get you there. But the actual route goes from New Zealand across the equator. Now, why would a plane going from a southern location to another southern location need to go into the northern hemisphere? Why? There's no reason. In the north, there's no planes that go from any northern airport to any other northern airport that ever go in the south. They never do because it makes sense. But in the south, they do. So where are we at?
I got to comment on that. I've got to comment on that, Dave.
Go.
I have a personal friend. I've had dinner with he and his wife 2 times in the last month. I have a personal friend who is a United Airlines pilot. He did not give me permission to name him. He's in my chat frequently though. And he was listening to one of my presentations in the last 3 days. I actually, in your honor, I actually did a trillathon. I did 3 back-to-back videos to basically soften up my community to let them know, man, our world is not what you think. All these anomalies right here. So we're gonna have Flat Earth Dave on Monday. So when he found out you were coming on the channel, he sent me an email. And I listened to this guy because he has a very long pilot experience. He's one of those Navy pilots who was trained to land on aircraft carriers. He knows what he's doing. He knows how dangerous it is landing on those moving runways and all that. And when he got out of the Navy, he went into commercial aviation, became a pilot. And he's flown all over the world internationally. And he told me, Jason, you need to know this. There are no commercial flights that go anywhere near Antarctica. But I have personally flown over the North Pole many, many times, and so has every other international pilot that goes from the United States to Europe. He says we routinely go over the North Pole, but we have never been allowed to fly anywhere near Antarctica.
Well, it makes sense. I'll show you that in a moment. So it goes from New Zealand to San Francisco, across to Texas. That's where you are, right?
Yeah.
And then down to Argentina. That's crazy, right? But if you look at it on a flat Earth map, what did your mom teach you? Shortest distance between 2 points? New Zealand, San Francisco, Houston, Texas, Argentina. Just a coincidence, right?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, it's amazing. And then people are like, well, you know, they go there because they have hubs. They've got to stop pilot change, whatever. So this is where the World Cup was last year in Doha, and the team from Buenos Aires won, and they wanted to go home. They got a private plane, just them, no stops. They go to Rome to get fuel.
Wow.
They go to Rome to get fuel, which doesn't make a lot of sense unless you look at it on a flat Earth map. Doha, Rome, can't get fuel out in the middle of the ocean. Buenos Aires, another straight line, another coincidence. Right?
That's amazing.
And then emergency landings. I just love showing this one. This was a family is flying from Hong Kong. They were going to the UK. 12-hour flight. About 4 hours into the flight, the mother died suddenly. Full plane. Her kids, her husband, they kept her in her seat for 8 hours. They didn't land for 8 hours. Now, somebody has a bad stomach ache, they'll land, right? Right? They flew for 8 hours. They finally landed in Germany. Now, why didn't they land? Like, that is unexcusable, right? Imagine sitting next to your dead mother for 8 hours. I mean, poor kids, poor everybody, right? Well, they were over Russia. And if they landed in Russia, besides Russia probably being very helpful, sparking world peace even, people like me and others could say, you landed in Russia because the earth is flat. So they couldn't land until they got all the way over to Germany.
Golly, man, that is so compelling. It just stares you in the face. It makes total sense why all these intelligence agencies have as their sigil a flat Earth map. Makes absolute sense.
Yeah. I mean, we can go on and on. There's so many of these things. This is my app, by the way, Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. You can find it on my website, flatearthdave.com. And you just type in Southern flight routes, and all of these examples come up.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's just endless. Like here's from Auckland to Lima, Peru, they got to go all the way up to Los Angeles. That's a little crazy, right? Auckland,
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Peru.
see, everything in today's technologically advanced society is about reducing things to their lowest common denominators. You would not fly thousands of miles out of your way, and you would fly as the bird. You know, I mean, every single airline would fly as the crow flies. They wouldn't fly out of their way. You're right. There's no way that globe map is an accurate depiction of our world. It just can't be.
Yeah, and what they did is they took the AE map, right? So this was the map that was in every library, every encyclopedia.
Yes, that's the map. That I have that copy from the 1890s.
Yeah. So the equator is right about here, right? So it's a circle around the center, the north. Now think about it. If you're in the north, the straightest distance between any two airports is a straight line, and none of them would ever cross the equator, even if they're at the farthest points, you know, near the equator. They would never do that. But in the south, if you want to go from here to here, you'll cross the equator twice. Same thing going this way.
Wow.
So what they did, and the Globers do it the opposite. They go, well, that's just a projection, right? This is a projection, but this is the best map that we have. I'm interested in talking about that other map you have. But what they did is the controllers cut it out, and then they wrapped it around a sphere, and they said, see this white area here? It's actually a continent at the bottom of the ball, and you're not allowed to fly over it, right? This is it. You're not allowed to cross. You can't cross from here to here because that's not the right direction.
Right.
Right? South is every direction in a straight line. Even if you're heading north, as soon as you pass the North Pole, you're heading south. If you point east, you're pointing south.
Right. So the only way it's going to work is on a flat disk.
Well, we're not on a disc. You know, unlike the word disc, take that out of your vocabulary. You know, the when people look up flat Earth, they're like, "Oh my God, you're a flat earther. That's crazy." You know, they Google it and they say this is two false models. This is a false binary. We're not in space because space doesn't exist as described, and we're not a disc. This is two false models.
Okay, so what is the? So I'm very primitive in my understanding of the flat Earth model. What is there an ice wall? Is this what Antarctica is?
Well, so it's not a wall. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. So
okay, it is 2 miles. It's a 2 mile high ice cap on top of
not 2 miles, just 200 feet. It's like the average elevation of the Antarctic plain is over twice the height of every other country, right?
Okay.
It's over twice number two. So when you get there, you know the plateau is just high, right? They want you to believe this is flat Earth, right? This is just to make you laugh at flat Earth. But when you get there, and maybe the whole thing isn't a wall like that. There could be gradual areas. You know, this is the edge of a lake. This is the edge of our world pond, right? Water needs to be contained. Anything bigger than a couple drops of water needs to be contained.
So Dave, is there credence in these guys that are talking about convex Earth? Is it a bowl?
Yeah, well, again, a bowl, whether it's convex or a bigger Earth, all of them would have to show curvature. Right, and we have measured. You know, a ball has curvature. This ball has curvature. Whatever the formula is from here to here.
That. But a concave ball wouldn't show curvature. It's still water would still have.
It would show. I mean, you could say we're in a. There's I think it's called crater Earth, where we're in a giant crater.
I've heard that theory.
Yeah, and we're on, but. If we're in a crater on a bigger ball, that water should still bend around the center of the ball if you're applying gravity and all that other nonsense.
Right.
It still should show curvature, but we have there's on a flat Earth, your horizon is an optical distance where you just can't discern the difference between the sky and the ground anymore. You can zoom in with optics and open it up and see farther, but it's optical. On a ball Earth, the horizon is also optical depending on the weather, but if it's really clear and if you're not too high, there is a physical limitation to how far you can see.
Okay.
Right? There should be, but there isn't. It defies all the laws. I mean, everything. we can literally see too far. Here's a video. These two oil rigs, right? These two oil rigs are, I think, 6 miles and 10 miles or whatever it is. And if you do the math, this one's 6 miles. From the height of the observer, the horizon should be in front of the platform, right? You shouldn't be able to see the surface of the water in front of the platform because of the curvature. Not only can we see it, we can see it far beyond the second platform.
Right. It's all, right? I get it. I've seen a lot of the experiments on the flat. It's very persuasive. I've seen the laser experiments that have been done over the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Because they show absolutely no curvature. But what's more convincing to me is the speed of some of the American jets, and how if these jets truly going Mach 3, Mach 4, well, they would always have to be aiming down in order to move forward, because isn't there a declivity of 8 inches per mile?
Yeah, 8 inches per mile squared, because as you go, the Earth is dropping off faster and faster, so you have to square the mile. 8 inches per mile is just a slope. That would be sloped Earth.
Yeah, so the Concorde would literally have to be pointing down to move forward. This thing is moving at extreme high velocity.
Not even the Concorde. A regular airplane at 500 miles an hour has to drop down a half a mile a minute just to follow the curve. A half a mile a minute. You know how uncomfortable that would be for the passengers?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, it would be horrible. And I speak with pilots all the time. Pilot just called me the other day after an interview I did, and he's like, Dave, this test pilot that you're talking doesn't know what they're talking about. And he's talking about the angle of descent where, a plane's 125 miles from the airport, and they say, okay, I want to do a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 descent, and they calculate how many feet per mile they need to drop. Well, that calculation will get them to the ground if the Earth is flat. But if they don't calculate in the curvature, they're going to be 2 miles too high. 125 miles out, the ground is 2 miles lower on a ball. So if you don't calculate for the curvature, you're going to miss the runway, but they don't.
So the inverse of this argument is that the guys that are claiming we're in a crater Earth would be equally wrong, because aircraft would always have to be climbing upward, or they would crash right into the ground.
Well, I mean, the crater Earth. If you had a giant ball like 1,000,000 times bigger than they tell us the Earth is, and there was a crater 24,000 miles in circumference, and you filled it with water, that would be what crater Earth was. And you got all the islands, which are continents, right? All the continents there. But the problem with that is the surface of that water would still need to conform to the curve of the ball. But again, when you start getting into gravity, just the nonsense of gravity, it's ridiculous. That's a big hang up for a lot of people. Like, well, why do things go down? How come when I drop this, it goes down? Well, there's two answers. The simplest, shortest one is this is more dense than the air, so it goes down. Right? You've seen density towers. You got oil, water, alcohol, a nut, a grape. Those are densities. But the question is, and it's an argument with inside flat Earth, still worth discussing, is why does it go down? Right? And there's some crazy, there's a lot of crazy theories out there, but the simplest one that we can prove is that gravity is really just electrostatics, and there's a downward flow of energy, and that can be measured. We can test it. We can manipulate it.
Yeah, well, I've read physicist Paul L. Laviolette's book called Subquantum Kinetics, and he shows that this is an electric experience. He says in an electric environment, the larger objects will always pull the lesser objects to themselves. So it's if our world is the biggest object that we know, and it must be because we're all here sharing it together, then it's going to pull all things to it. If everything was rendered to its electrical lowest common denominator.
Mainstream academia, they don't understand this world is electric. Everything's electric. Everything is filled with an electrical charge. The sun and the moon are the anode and the cathode. The salt water carries the current. The land is a salt bridge. We're in a giant battery system. Walter Lewin says it's electrical forces from MIT, electrical forces that hold our world together. And that is a fact. So let me just show you, and a lot of people that watch my stuff, you've seen this a million times, but it's worth it for the people that haven't. Got some helium balloons. I got a button. It's about 2 inches off the floor, just neutrally buoyant. That wire goes to a Van der Graaf generator, and we're going to hit it with a stronger positive charge. Now, the ground is negative and the sky is positive. And when we make the charge heavier, more positive, it goes down. Now, are we defying gravity, or are we just messing around with the electrostatics? We discharge it, it goes up, right? And then we could do the opposite. We got this little tinfoil triangle. We add a negative charge to it, negative, whoosh, it pushes up, turn it off, it goes down, turn it on, it goes back up, and we can make things go up.
Dave,
right? Yeah.
Dave, I'm going to give credit where it's due, but I'm about to tell my community something they're going to understand. Guys, Dave just showed us how in the ancient world, under a high-pressure vapor canopy environment, they moved gigantic megaliths into position without tractors, without manpower, and without everything. They were using this system here, but under a high-pressure vapor canopy environment, all the techniques are different. You guys, you've already seen my scientific output on the vapor canopy environment. What he just described is almost exactly what we're seeing in the legends and traditions where small objects were attached to giant boulders and they were moved through the air into their positions with the slightest touch. Thank you, Dave, for that little demonstration.
Jason, I want to say this at the beginning. I'll just say it now. Is you ever been wrong?
I've been wrong several times.
Yeah,
I've had
too.
to eat crow on my channel a few times.
Me too.
I was wrong about flat Earth. I was totally against it from the beginning.
The point is, you and I talking today, we're not right about everything, but together we have more right than alone. So it's good that we're having this conversation. It's fantastic, and we're bringing stuff together, and I'm really enjoying this. So this is at MIT again. This is called the silent drone. It's got no moving parts. They're using electrostatics going up and down. This technology is old world technology. They're just slowly giving it back to us, right? So again, I agree. That's how the mega structures were probably built, in the past.
Yes, well, I'm just going by two factors. One, it's the year 2025, and we still haven't figured out how they built many of these structures. And two, if we pay attention just to the oral traditions of these cultures, like Stonehenge, the stones were marched through the air to their positions. All throughout South America, the Aymara have traditions that the giant megalithic structures that are found everywhere in the Andes Mountains that are still mysterious to today, they were all floated through the air and then put into position. And then the stone, for whatever reason, was melded into the stones that it was set into. Very curious process, but it was a different world. It was a different ecosphere. We had a very different environment at that time.
So let me ask you this. You're breathing air right now, and that's how we're living in this physical simulation, I'll call it. Did you know that gas air needs to be contained? You can't have a box of air without it being contained in a box.
I agree.
And they want us to believe that space is an infinite vacuum. Maybe there's a couple little particles in there, but super low pressure, so low that we can't even simulate it here on Earth. And our air doesn't take off. This is a gas pressure simulator. And you got all this gas in here. And we open the top, and it'll go out. Now, the air pressure outside, I can't simulate it being lower. If it was lower, whoosh, it would violently go out. When you open a soda can, what happens? You hear, psh, right? Instantly equalizes, because that's what air does. It instantly equalizes. So when people say, well, gravity's holding the air down, gravity's the container. Okay, I can get a fish tank, put it in the middle of my room, air's in the room, air's in the fish tank, and slowly, and maybe even put a piece of paper over the fish tank. And then if I slowly lower the pressure in the room, gravity should hold the air in the fish tank. It should, but it doesn't. It just all instantly equalizes. Gas equalizes always unless it's contained.
Okay, so I need to interject again, because you are tapping into a fundamental that I have told my community many times. Can you re-show the beginning of that when all that gas is escaping?
Sure.
Okay, Archaix veterans, hear me out. 2239 BC in the month of May, I have already given all my data sets on the collapse of the vapor canopy, the day the sky fell. It is recorded in the biblical material as the flood of Noah. It is in the Greek material called the Typhon flood. This event, what started this event, remember, before the flood, it was a high pressure environment where humans, animals, flora, fauna were all growing to astonishing sizes. The air was 80 to 90% more than what it is today. People were diving at 200 feet because the pressure differential didn't affect them, because they were living in a high pressure environment, and they could dive 200 feet under the water where the pressure was changed in that environment, and they were taking mollusks, clams and all that and bringing it to the surface, and archaeologists are baffled. How in the hell did ancient man get that deep? So what he just showed you is exactly what the traditional record tells us. When the Great Flood happened, the first thing that happened was the entire sky fractured like glass, and iceberg-sized pieces of the sky fell all over the world, followed by a tremendous amount of water and rain. But at the same time, all these creatures asphyxiated because all the oxygen in our environment just blew out, and everything suffocated as all this destruction was going on. And it took over 250 years for the world to stabilize. All of this, Dave, is material that I've covered ad nauseum on my channel from the historical and the archaeological and traditional record.
I've heard you talk about most of this stuff, and it's definitely influenced the way I think and theorize about things. This is I have a gas in here, just a colored gas, and then this is a lower pressure vacuum. And when we open the vacuum, gravity is not going to hold it down. As soon as we turn this dial, instantly it equalizes. Turn and bam, instantly equalizes. So gas will not hold it down. I mean, not gas. Gravity will not hold it down. So this is this picture. You recognize this picture? This is from Carl Sagan, the pale blue dot. Remember the Voyager? This is Earth. Look, they got a picture of Earth from deep outer space. So imagine that this vacuum that I just showed you here. Oops. Imagine this. This vacuum was infinite in size. Infinite. When I turn the valve, what's going to happen? Whoosh, it's all going to go away, right? Mm-hmm. So we got this little blue dot. It's got a layer of gas around it. This is all an infinite vacuum. What? They want us to believe in the dumbest crap ever, and the problem is they got our minds before we could even talk, right? Yeah. Our parents are even in on it. They hung mobiles of solar systems over our cribs. They got us NASA sheets, right? Yeah. They did. Yeah. You probably had one, right?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I'm not showing you. This is a blue dot. Sorry, I didn't transition. Sorry. So this is this. Where did the gas go? It should just be gone instantaneously.
This may be way beyond the scope of your material, but when you show the demonstration of the pressure leaving one and equalizing into the other, I'm seeing the world we're in toroidal field mechanics. The world we're in depressurizes through cataclysms, systemic resets, but the pressure doesn't disappear. It goes into the other version of our world. And I've been discussing this a lot, that there's actually two worlds here, and that we don't have access to the other one, but there is an exchange of materials or artifacts, derelict ships, strange people have been found. Books such as the Voynich manuscript, they perfectly depict a world that's very close to ours, but absolutely dissimilar. So these are just theories; they're just ideas.
Jason, consider this. So you got a tub, a big bathtub or whatever. You get an upside down bowl and you push it down to the bottom of the tub. So now you got your pressurized system. Water's above, water's below, right?
Yes.
So if we're in a pressurized system and you open up the gates of heaven, what's going to happen? Water's going to come in, but also water's going to come up from the bottom.
Yes, it is.
Because you lowered the pressure.
That's the biblical version of the flood as well, that the foundations of the great deep burst forth as water.
Right. So lower the pressure, whether it was man-made, God-made, accident, who knows? I don't know. Maybe you do. The waters came in from above and below.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, you know about Gaddafi and why they took him out, right? About
Don't get me started. Hey, don't get me started. I'll go 3 or 4 hours on how they have taken out all of the anti-Rothschild banking system countries. Don't get me started, bro.
Well, it's not even that. He was on top of that. He was drilling for oil and found an ocean of water below the desert. So he started building what's called the Great Man-Made River. It took him 40 years. He was putting aqueducts all across Africa. And any family that wanted to start an organic farm, he gave them animals, seeds, land, and water to grow food. And he was going to feed all of Africa. And when he was almost done, the Clintons and Obama, the whole gang, they blew it up with depleted uranium bombs. One of the greatest men on earth and the biggest disaster, and nobody knows about it.
Absolutely.
Everyone thinks he's horrible.
Muammar Gaddafi was loved by his people, didn't have taxes. Everybody had a job who wanted to work. The economy was booming, and the elite couldn't take it. Same thing with Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein in Iraq, the people loved him because he provided everything the people needed, and he didn't participate in the international banking stranglehold. Neither did Muammar Gaddafi.
Hey, I heard you talking, and I was listening to a couple of streams from the last couple of days, and you're talking about Stonehenge. And I always say, Stonehenge was built in the 50s. It was there before, but they rebuilt it. And I had one picture a while ago, and I'm trying to find it, of the original stones that would look like completely different stones. Like they took away the original stones and just rebuilt it with new stones.
Well, I need to correct a little bit. First of all, I have books in my library from the 16 and 1700s that show Stonehenge was already ruined and in disrepair even 400 years ago. Actual illustrations. And Sir Norman Lockyer also did a study and found out it was really. And the problem was in the 1920s and 30s, the England finally went out with surveyors and scientists because a lot of the stones had been taken and stolen by locals for building materials, and they had dragged them to their farmsteads to use them for stuff. They went and they did analysis on the stones, and they brought as many of them back as they could and put it together according to the pictures that survived from the 15 and 1600s. So
but you can see now there. I mean, there's literally cement underneath them. Some of them are artificial.
I agree. I agree.
So I think it's fair to say that Stonehenge was built in the 1950s. It's not an ancient thing. It was recreated.
I can go with renovation and recreation.
There you go. We'll go with that.
But it does have a lot of history. There's a lot of history and archaeology to the place, and there are references to the open temple in the Greek records of Pausanias.
It's odd that they don't tell us about the renovation.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. Yeah, I did a power series, man. That was I think that was almost 9 hours. If you added all three of them together, it was about 9 hours, 3 days in a row. But that's my new series. I got too many books, Dave. I got too many books. They shouldn't just sit on my shelf. I should go ahead and start sharing what's all in them.
How many books have you read since we started this show? Just kidding.
No, not since we started the show. No, but I did. When I got out of prison, Dave, I published my research bibliography for everybody to see. And at the time, it was only like 1,350 nonfiction reference books that I didn't just read. Some of them I had to reread. I data mined. I collated the information. Now I'm close to about 2,500 books. And you have to understand this. Some of these books are like Evolution Cruncher's 900 pages. Many of these books I have read they're monoliths. Some of them are small, just little scientific monographs. But still, it's a lot of information. It's a lot of data to collate. And I do have an announcement. I didn't make any announcements at the beginning. I totally forgot. But my community is going to be happy to know that book 1 of Chronicon the editing is completely finished, and I approved the final manuscript last night when my publisher sent it to me. So you guys are about to have a paperback edition of the pre-flood world. It is the first time my Chronicon series with all the supplemental notes is being published ever. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Jason, I gotta get your all your books on the Old World section on my app. This is Old World. They got Martin Leakey in there, and I'm always looking for new books.
I got two of Martin's books right here.
Yeah, Martin is the man. I spoke at a conference with him last year or 2 years ago in the UK, and he was the most fun. Did I lose you? Did it? Did Jason just get cut off?
No. Oh, when you're showing things on screen, Dave, I like
oh.
to just take myself off so they can see it better.
All right, no problem. I didn't know. And you mentioned Eric Dubay's book. I have his frequently asked flat Earth FAQs. This is a great coffee table book, 101 book.
I've never seen that book. I didn't know he came out with a new book.
Yeah, this was his most recent book, and it's really great because you can open it to any page, read something. So if you leave it on the table and somebody picks it up, they read a page, they're like, "What?" It doesn't matter where you jump to in the book. It's all just short. It's like all the proofs, but it's all done in FAQ section, and it's fantastic. Eric Dubay doesn't like me, but I like his book.
You know what? I've got a whole lot of people that don't like me, but I still respect their research.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all good. All good.
I don't need to be liked. Being liked isn't an issue for me. It's being respected for the work that I've done. That's what triggers me. Yeah, I don't. That dismissive behavior, like I know a lot of people have dismissed you as well, but that dismissive behavior, when you know for a fact you've done the legwork, the homework, you've documented the facts, you've dotted your I's, crossed your T's, and yet somebody in 2 minutes will look at your material and then ask you a question and expect an answer in 2 minutes for what took you two decades to put together. That's what triggers me.
You know what's amazing is if you look at comments on videos, my videos, any truth video, the haters, go look at their channels. They're empty channels with no content, no subscribers.
Oh, I got a whole fan club, Dave. I got a whole fan. There's over 20 channels on YouTube that take shots of me all the time, and nobody watches any of them.
But their channel, like the people that are leaving these comments, and like the trolls, my trolls will show up on your YouTube, and they look at their channels. I call them the globe proof channels, the comprehensive globe proof channels, because there's nothing on their channel. Yeah,
it's crazy. Whole thing's crazy. If these people would spend the same amount of energy and time trying to produce a good video instead of just attacking other people, people might start watching them.
Yeah, and I love it when people come up with an objection, instead of saying, you're a grifter, you're this, just give me your best argument. I'm interested in your best argument. Let's talk about it. But they've got nothing. I mean, I've kind of stopped offering it because it's just a waste of time. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof, but it's incredible. People are like, well, first, you got to put the money in escrow and let's have a contract. And they want to do all this stuff. Like, well, just tell me your proof so I can show you how stupid it is. And then finally, when they tell me, they're like, you can't circumnavigate on a flat Earth. I'm like, really? I mean, when did you start looking into this?
Yeah, man, it's just, it is so ridiculous. So look, before you continue your presentation, I would like to read this list.
I'm not doing a presentation. We're having a discussion. So go right ahead.
Oh yeah. I know you got a lot to show, but I'd like to get your feedback on this because this is kind of, I was looking for images of ancient cosmological concepts. You're not going to believe what came back to me. And I'll show you the Dymaxion map. I just found it. So when it comes to the flat Earth concept, the Mesopotamians, the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, they all believed the world was flat. Some of them believed it had 4 corners. Some of them believed it was flat floating on water. Some of them believed it was flat on a turtle's back or a giant lizard. It's where did they get this idea? Ancient Egyptians believed the world was flat and the only curvature was the sky goddess Nut, who was arching over the world. And then the ancient Hebrews believed that the earth was flat with a solid firmament dome above us, which is interesting because the last systemic cataclysm, 2239 BC, the sky fractured like glass. And that's what depressurized everything, caused the flood, worldwide destruction, human depopulation, and that's what ended the megafauna. It's crazy. Ancient India, the Vedic period, which would have been 1800 BC to about 1100 BC, again, their texts support a flat world. The ancient Vikings, the Norse, they believed in Midgard, which was a flat disk, and that above it was Asgard and below it was Niflheim, the underworld. The ancient Chinese, all the way up to the Middle Ages, believed that the world was flat under a round sky. The ancient Greeks, now we're talking about the pre-Ionic, the naturalists. We're talking about the pre-Socratic period. The ancient Greeks, like Homer, Hesiod, Theognis, all believed the world was flat. The Hittites, the whole Hittite Empire, 670 years of history, all their scientists believe the world was flat. The Persians, the Zoroastrians, in the Zendavesta, the world is flat. All the Celtic cultures, the world was flat. The ancient Japanese, Shinto beliefs, the world is absolutely flat. The Mayan civilization, they envisioned a flat earth supported by 4 gods at the cardinal points, a model later borrowed by the Aztecs, by the ancient Germanic tribes of Europe, also a totally flat world structure. Pacific Islanders, way out in the middle of the Pacific, held flat earth beliefs. It just goes on. The list goes on and on and on, man. There are no ancient civilizations that ever imagined that we lived on an egg.
Amazing. You were talking before about the, United Nations. They have a flat earth map. You look at the World Meteorological Organization, flat earth map, International Civil Aviation Organization, flat earth map, right? And then you have the flat earth map. This one's good, this one's good, this one's good, but this one's no good. No good.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's amazing.
So we have all these civilizations that believe this on one hand, which are totally ignored and dismissed by, modern uniformitarian, perspectives. But at the same time, the same people who dismiss this do recognize that these cultures invented sexagesimal mathematics. They invented trigonometry. They invented the decimal arithmetic. They invented complex stellar and lunar timekeeping systems that we're just decoding in the last 150 years. And they built megalithic structures that we're still trying to understand today. And yet the common denominator linking all these cultures with all these amazing, amazing feats of engineering and science, all of them believe the world was flat.
It's funny. You're familiar with the Georgia Guidestones, right?
I am.
And so that they were a star map and a calendar and a clock, right? I'll show you. Where is that? It's taking me a second to pull it up. So the Georgia Guidestones, besides having what's written on them, the New World Order stuff, there was in the center stone, there was this straw thickness little hole, and you look through it, there's Polaris.
Yes.
There's Polaris. So you do a time lapse and all the stars will go around and Polaris stays there all year, all the time. Now, they tell us that we're spiraling through space, right? We're going,
right.
We're traveling 4.5 billion miles a year. We're traveling 186 million miles from one side of the sun to the other, right? Every 6 months. But Polaris stays there. And they say, well, the reason for that is because it's so far away, there's no parallax.
Yeah, it's all BS.
Right?
I get it.
So we said, well, they also tell us that the Earth is wobbling on a 26,000 year cycle, 1 degree every 76 years. So 1 degree in the sky is 2 to 3 full moon widths, right? Georgia Guidestones were built in 1981, and they're still today, until they got blown up. They were still pointing there. 40 years is more than a half a degree, and the North Star should have been out of that hole.
Absolutely.
And we made a video, a bunch of videos. They started going viral, and then boom, Georgia Guidestones get blown up. The entire thing is bulldozed 3 hours later. The time capsule is stolen. No investigation.
Yep. I agree. The whole Polaris argument kills everything. It kills processional science. All that BS that Graham Hancock and Andrew Collins and Robert Bauval cite all the time about the processional, the zodiacal ages and all that. The whole fact that Polaris never moves in the sky is absolute proof, 100%, that these cycles are invented. They're created by science. There's no truth to them. Every time we had a pole star changed, it was because of a cataclysm. Thuban used to be the ancient pole star, but there hasn't been a transitional period ever recorded in human memory from when Thuban, the pole star, was the pole was relocated from Thuban all the way to the Great Bear, and then from the Great Bear, near Vega, and then from Vega all the way to Polaris. There's never been any wandering. It's always been, since the 7th century BC, the pole star has been Polaris, and it's impossible because, just like you said, the precessional cycle is actually every 72 years for a degree.
72, not 76?
72? Yeah, it's every 72 years for a degree, because 72 is divisible perfectly. It's divisible perfectly into 360 degrees of the celestial sphere. So it's I've done a lot of research on all this, and you're absolutely. I did not know that there was a sight hole for Polaris, but it makes perfect sense why they would destroy it now, because that sight hole is absolute proof that Earth is stationary.
Rock solid proof, and now it's gone. Here's my prediction. You know Coral Castle? That's got this little tower with this little X in it, and if you look through a hole in this little triangle stone, you see the target, and wherever the sun is, wherever Polaris is,
that's
it actually makes Polaris does make a tiny little circle. So this is which season, right? Something's going to happen to this because it shouldn't be there.
Yeah. Well, Coral
work.
Castle is more evidence of that demonstration you showed using the electricity to levitate things.
Oh, 100%. Hey, everybody, quick message that I'd like to share with all of you. Our lives are filled with toxins in our air, food, and even in the information we're taught. Avoiding them all is impossible, but helping your body detox doesn't have to be complicated. That's where Masterpiece comes in. Just 5 drops under your tongue twice a day, and that's it. Super easy, super simple, and it doesn't even taste bad. I've tried countless supplements, and while generally I'm pretty healthy, I didn't really feel much of an effect. But with Masterpiece, it delivered noticeable benefits. Check out the podcast I did with Terry from Masterpiece, linked below this video, or you can find links directly to Masterpiece on my website, flatearthdave.com, or in the shopping section on the app. The key to health is to detoxify. Now back to the show. We're told that all of the planets circle the sun, right? And so not to scale globers, if any of you are out here. So if this is Earth and this is the axis of rotation, Polaris is somewhere up here on this line. It's pointing right to this line. So if the Earth was tilted this way, Polaris would be here. So now let's pretend there's people on these other planets. Polaris isn't just another star in the sky. It's not the same to them because they have their own pole stars. If this one, it's pointing kind of towards the sun, this one would be pointing over here. So they'd have their own. So Polaris isn't a special star unless you're on Earth in the heliocentric system. Well, here's something weird. All of the planets, aka wandering stars, they all circle Polaris. Even Juno, which is a asteroid, right? They all circle Polaris, making their perfect spirograph patterns. How is that even possible?
Well, I mean, if you want me to explain it, I'm going to tell you the entire stellosphere is nothing but a holographic template of multidimensional programming, having us believe that we live in a cosmos in the universe when it's all programming. None of that stuff in the sky is real.
That makes a lot more sense than the heliocentric model. I call it the helio-nonsensical model.
Right. There is deception in the sky, Dave. I don't think that it's as innocent as that. I think it was designed to be a little deceitful. Like, I'll give you an example. The phases of the moon. Like the Russians reported in the 1950s and 60s, they knew NASA was pulling a psyop from the beginning. The Russian space agencies, they knew that NASA was not going to the moon. They had already published the material in the 50s that the moon was plasmoid or holographic, and that if it were real, it would technically be a double planet system, and it would have crashed into Earth a long time ago. So it must be paper thin and suspended way out there, which didn't make sense either because it doesn't move like a natural object. It gently rolls around the world so that the same face is always, showing the Earth. You never see the dark side of the moon. So the Russians were convinced that the moon was not what it appeared to be, and that's why there was never any attempts by the Russians to ever go to the moon. That was in a United States psyop through that began in 1958 with NASA, but. I entertained the tangent and I forgot what my point was going to be.
That happens.
I do it a lot. I do it a lot. Not even embarrassed about it.
That's all right. That's right. So NASA gives us lots of false binaries. Like when we see things, like for example, what shape are the holes in this? Can you tell?
What shape?
What shape are they?
Well, we say square or diamond.
Yeah, square or diamond. But if I turn it around.
Nice.
All right. So unless you can touch it and measure it, you don't know what it is. So here's something. Is this the sun or the moon rising or setting?
You can't tell in a picture.
All right. And I gave you a false binary. Okay. I said, is this the sun or the moon? So people will store that. Well, it's the sun or the moon. I got to figure out which one it is. But in reality, if we zoom forward here, it's a train and it's not even a circle.
Okay.
This is how our eyes see. Everything
Right.
turns into a ball in the distance.
Right. Oh, okay. So look, listen, good example, because you just now put me back on track.
All right.
No pun intended with the train. So what I was explaining was the sky seems to be deceitful, because if the sun is round and the moon is round and they move across the sky, an educated observer would sooner or later deduce, well, maybe the world I'm on is round too. And what adds to that deceit are the phases of the moon, because the phases of the moon would get a casual observer to look at it and think, well, the moon must be a globe, because look at the shadow, look at the curvature of the shadow at different times of the month. So then we have the wandering stars. So the wandering stars of the ancients are what we call Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. The only ones we can see. We can't see, even though Neptune and Uranus are in the model in our own system, we can't see them with the naked eye. The ones we can see with the naked eye, we've named them. And they all move on the same little 5-degree line of the sky that the moon, what's 11 degrees, that the moon, the sun, and all the wandering stars move. So the casual observer, getting more and more intelligent of his environment, would start making deductions that maybe I'm on a world just like those and I'm moving. This is why I'm thinking that it's kind of in the design to be deceitful, to make sure that we make these calculations and deductions and start believing in some type of heliocentric, even though it's not true.
It is an interesting way we see and what we believe. For example, we got these three things here. You can't tell how big they are or how far they are or what shape they are. They look like spheres, but if you look at this one, right, now we know how big it is, size of a baseball. It's a half a sphere, right? What do you think about this one, Jason? Do you think that's a sphere?
Well, obviously it's a trick question, but I'm going to say optically it's round.
Optically it's round, right? But it looks like a sphere. It looks more like a sphere than the moon does, but it's flat.
Wow.
And then nice. This one, is that one a sphere? That one's a cup. You can't tell.
Oh, nice examples. You went from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional. That's great.
And then this is a sphere. There you go. So again,
I feel cheated. I want my money back.
It's okay.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Good example.
Well, it's just people don't realize how easily you're tricked. For example, check this one out. So this is a hallway. So we got a door at the end of the hallway. These windows are closer. These pictures are closer than that window. You got it, right? You don't know how deep this hallway is. You don't know how big it is, right? Because it could be small. It could be huge. You don't know, right? But when we take a step back, give it a second here, right? Watch what happens. Ready? Give it a second. So, look, it's a cone.
Yep.
This is the closest part to you right here, but once it flipped, you can't undo it.
It's like some Alice in Wonderland optics.
Yeah. So once you understand, like this door right here is the farthest away, but when it comes over here, all of a sudden now it's the closest.
Oh, Dave, speaking of perspective, have you ever read Book of the Damned from 1919 by Charles Fort?
I've heard it. I've not read it. No. Okay.
I'm not sure if it was Book of the Damned or Wild Talents or Low, but Charles Fort published 4 books after spending a lifetime in the New York Public Library. He went through 500 years of scientific reports and eyewitness accounts, and he wrote these 4 books, and they're phenomenal. He is the reason that they gave the name Fortean science. It's from Charles Hoy.
Did he write Book of Miracles?
No, he didn't write that. But listen, the reason I'm mentioning this is because Charles Fort published a very interesting conclusions that were made by the scientific community in the 1890s. A group of scientists wanted to test just how far Earth was from the sun and how far our system was from other star systems. So they know that by the calculations in the 1890s that the Earth was about 90 million, by scientific standards, what was published was that the Earth was about 80 to 90 million miles away from the sun. So they wanted to test this. These are all uniformitarian trained men. They weren't on flat Earth. They weren't on any of these things. They're just going by the scientific model that they were educated by. But what they found shocked them. It is one of the most suppressed reports ever. And what Charles Fort reports is that they set up an observatory in South America. They set another one up in France, and they set another one up in the United States. And they chose a time where all three telescopes with cameras took pictures of a certain area of the heavens. And they waited 182 days, which is 6 months, because in their mind that the Earth would be 170 to 185 million miles away because it's going to be on the other side of the sun. So in their mind, they're like, we're going to have to document parallax. All the stars are going to be in different positions because the second time we take the same pictures, all these stars are going to be parallax is absolute proof that we're great distances from these stars. These guys took pictures 6 months later, and they put the finished photos from each series where they had done these three photographs from 3 different continents, 2 different hemispheres, and 6 months apart. And there's not a single deviance in the stars. There was no parallax, as if the stars only look more distant than each other, but they're actually in the sky on a flat surface.
Also, the issue with waiting 6 months, I'm trying to find an image here. Maybe that's not it. Here we are. If they're here taking pictures of this portion of the sky at nighttime, 6 months later at nighttime, they're facing in the opposite direction on the other side of the sun. How could they possibly see the same stars? That's like looking at one side of your room, noticing the painting on the wall, and turning around and seeing the painting on the other wall. How is that even possible? 6 months from any point, any day, 6 months later, you're at midnight. When you look up, you're looking 180 degrees in the other direction if you live on a space rock. There you go. Come on back. Maybe that was too much for him. There we go.
Well, I was just running my mouth for a whole 30 seconds thinking I was on screen and I wasn't.
I figured it was something like that. At least I was hoping that it wasn't something worse.
No, I take myself off when you're trying to show something so the viewers can see it better. No, but what I was saying was, no matter what their paradigm was, they believed they were on a globe, and the scientific world was waiting for the output because the output was supposed to show parallax, and everything was suppressed after that, according to Charles Fort, because there wasn't a single piece of evidence of parallax in those photographs.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about this concept? You know, we have the angular resolution limits of our eyes, or you look at it like a video game. Something that's off screen doesn't exist until it's on screen. We zoom in, and all of a sudden, this shrimp boat just appears.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. In Archaix, I explain basically the techniques and the mechanics of the holographic field. It's called rendering, and these objects, if they're too far beyond your locality, they're rendered into your life by observation, because this is a perceiver based reality in program. Just like any sophisticated programming, nothing is going to waste energy. The law of conservation of energy, that still applies. The law of diminishing returns still applies. It's just like if there's nobody in a forest to hear a tree fall, is it going to make a sound? Or does the tree even fall? It's rendered all the way back to Schrodinger's cat. If there's no one in a local vicinity to observe a local phenomenon, we have absolutely no evidence whatsoever that local phenomenon even occurred. What you're showing is rendering, and it's what our reality does once we observe a certain phenomenon.
I always made the joke, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make any noise? People say, I say, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there, did it really fall?
Yep, there it is.
All right.
This is an observer-dependent reality.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. Thank you, Jeffrey Bailey, for reminding me. Thank you.
The more I look into the old world stuff and the layouts of, just all the lost world, if you will, and compare it to computers, this is a state. I can't even tell which one's which. This is the stadium, and this is a computer motherboard. What do you think about the energy grids of the,
Yeah, this is something that like Michelle Gibson's real big on, and Martin Leakey's done some good presentations on it. I'm on board. But again, it's just more evidence for me of simulation theory, the microcosm and macrocosm. This is another similarity between the things in the micro and the things in the macro being fundamentally the same thing, just different dimensions.
Sweet, nice.
Let's see. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay, this is on page 456 of the book I was sharing with my community. This is Buckminster Fuller right here, and he took the globe and rendered it into this geometrical form based off 12 triangles right here. This is 12 triangles, a geometrical form. Buckminster Fuller, Dymaxion map. I'm trying to remember what the name of the forum was. They named it right here. But this is 1943. It was shown in Life magazine. And when he took a regular globe, just a regular globe map that they always popularize, and he rendered it into this 12 triangles, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like when he rendered it into 12 triangles. But when you unfold the 12 triangles, this is what it becomes. Right here. Is that not almost perfect with the flat Earth map?
It looks good.
There's the form on the bottom. You can see how he did it.
Yeah, I'd like to look into that some more. That's interesting.
What was compelling about the Dymaxion map was it was the first rendering of a map using the globe form that it turned Greenland almost exactly into the dimensions for which it is, instead of the globe version, which has Greenland almost the size of all of North America.
Interesting.
You see on the Dymaxion map, Greenland's real small compared to the globe version, which has it almost the entire size of North America as well. Yeah, this is the Dymaxion map. I'll send these to you after the show.
Please do. I appreciate it.
And the cover of the book they came from.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. It was a total accidental discovery, just going through books in the Archaix library, getting ready for a video. All right, let's see. There we go.
While we have a little low spot, I just want to plug a couple appearances I'm going to make. I'm going to be in Texas at TrutherCon in, when is it? It's in October 25th and 26th. It's truthercon.com. I don't know if it's close to you, but it'd be awesome if
what city?
Dallas, Texas.
Oh yeah, that's my brother lives up there. That's like 3 hours away from me.
Okay, well, something to consider. Then I'm going to be in November. I'm going to be speaking at internationaltruthexpo.com November 7th and 8th and 9th in the middle of nowhere in Arizona, in Quartzsite, Arizona.
Yeah,
and then awesome. And then in February, I'm speaking for the third year in a row at Acapulco. This year, it's going to be in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Yeah, is Acapulco still destroyed?
Acapulco is pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, I need to talk to those people again. I had turned them down 2 years ago. I just had too much going on. I was doing San Diego meetups, and I had my own guest speakers, and I was doing a lot of traveling, just trying to show people in the United States that you know, there's a lot of YouTubers out there, but very few of them do what you and I do: go out in public and get to know people and let them know, hey man, I'm the real deal. I said I'm not sitting in a CIA lab somewhere, man, churning out videos and all that stuff. Here I am. I'm just a country boy in Texas doing meetups across the country.
These meetups, the ones that you have, it's all about being around all the other people. You know, the speakers, they're great, but that's not the number one reason to go. It's to be around everybody. So I'm sure they're going to see this video. Maybe they'll reach out to you. I can throw in a good word if you like.
Yeah, I like Max. I still don't know Jeff, but I do follow his posts on Twitter. He gets on Twitter and he kind of has these rants, and I kind of resonate with that because I'm a ranter myself.
He does the walk and talks. I'm a big fan of his walk and talks. They're awesome. And I just was interviewed by Jeff a couple of weeks ago, and we both have these Tesla coils that are just amazing machines that without making any claims, the only thing I've seen them do is perform miracles. This is the one I have.
What exactly is a Tesla? It's a Tesla coil?
It takes energy out of the ether and puts it in your body. It doesn't heal you. It gives you the ability to heal super fast. Your whole body is filled with this plasma, and it's amazing. Here's a video of it going. So you got the generator. Let me just fast forward a little bit, and the coil creates the energy, and then it goes through a wire. And you connect to it. Hold on, let me just get to it. So here, well, this is just showing the energy. Where is it? There you go. So if you watch it, so this is the energy that's in your body. Like if you were connected to it and I held my finger near you, that energy would shoot off your body into mine. And
you need to be careful with all that, because I know they put that dude Reichenbach in prison when he was coming up with all these type of devices. I'm
not. This machine doesn't do anything. It makes you feel good, and sometimes the side effect is that whatever horrible thing that you had goes away. That's a side effect that has nothing to do with this machine, right?
Got you.
Yeah. Got you. And I even charge my sometimes when you can charge your fluids. I got in here. I have actually some coffee, and I'm charging it, and then you consume it however you like.
Yeah, I get it. Well, that's why I do this. This thing here charges my water
with hydrogen.
It's empty right now. This is a hydrogen filter.
I have the same one. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's empty right now, so you really can't see what it does.
Yeah, no, those are great.
Parasites and pathogens only thrive in a body that's acidic, low in oxygen, inflamed and electrically disorganized. In that terrain, blood thickens, cells lose potential, and the immune system becomes overburdened, opening the door to disease. The plasma geo shifts this completely. By surrounding the body with a coherent, negatively charged electromagnetic field, it restores cellular resonance and balance. When the body interacts with this field, water and proteins reorganize, restoring membrane potential. Blood thins, microcirculation improves, and oxygen delivery rises. Inflammation decreases, and pH returns to its natural alkaline range. In this environment, parasites can't survive. The terrain no longer supports them. But here's the key. It's not the device that kills them. It's the body itself. Once bioelectric coherence is restored, the body's own intelligence recognizes what doesn't belong and eliminates it. So if someone asks, does the plasma geo kill parasites? The most accurate answer is, it doesn't kill them directly. It gives the body back its ability to heal itself. By restoring balance and order, the body regains control and health returns naturally.
I can tell, I can feel the difference, because I do know that we are water-based creatures, and I do know that water takes on forms and structure according to whatever frequencies are in your local environment. And if you got a lot of people that are hateful, or they're vibrating on a terrible toxic frequency, it's going to be reflected in every water bottle and everything around you. If you're in an environment of love, if you're in an environment where it's altruistic, or where everybody's getting along, and there's no animosity and all that, all the stored water bottles in that area, their structuring of that water is going to reflect that as well. I'm very familiar with, what's his name, Yamamoto's research from Japan.
Yeah, he's great.
Listen, those studies are real. Those studies where they do those double-blind studies, and they have 2 different rooms full of people focusing negatively on a bottle of water and positively on a bottle of water, they have absolutely flash frozen those and shown what frequency does to water, and how horrible that water looks when people are focusing negative, harmful, hateful stuff to it, and how beautiful those structures are in the water, where people are giving loving comments out in the open toward the water or to each other in the room. It's crazy.
So I have a little theory on water, just a hypothesis. Let's see what you think about it. It's that water is the physical representation of God. It holds information. It holds memory. It's around us. It's in us. It's everywhere. When you pray to it, it accepts your prayers. It responds to you. When you're standing, if you and I were standing at the beach on 50 feet apart watching the sunset, you'd see the sun walking on the water to your feet, and I'd see it walking on the water to my feet. And we have a personal relationship with the sun itself. Right. So the sun, I think, is where we get our consciousness from, right? Water is in the heavens above. It falls, it kind of dies, comes down to the earth, saves us, and then it's resurrected again and goes back to heaven.
Yeah.
Right? There's nowhere in the Bible that I can see that God created water. Water was here.
It was. In Genesis chapter 1:1, God flowed over. There was the waters covered the face of the great deep, and there wasn't a sun and a moon yet, and God flowed over to begin the creation process. God flowed over the waters of the great deep. So you're absolutely right. Genesis begins with the world already covered in water.
And when you look down at water at rest, flat water, what do you see? You see yourself. You see an image of yourself.
Yeah. It's I can't argue all those associations. They're very real, and we have water. We may have more water around than we know, because, like you said, below the underworld seems to be another body of water, the water table, the subterranean ocean, and above the sky, above the firmament, seems to be water as well. I just did a video about all the aquatic and marine animals that have fell out the sky, and it's almost as if there's a body of water right beyond the visible sky spectrum, because we got fish, amphibians, frogs, snakes. We got all kinds of things that live in water that routinely just rain from the sky.
They fall from the sky, right?
And any ideas that these are typhoons or tornadoes that are sucking them up is all completely thrown out the window, because when these rains of species of fish or frog or tadpole or lizard or crustacean actually fall from the sky, it's always the exact same species. And a typhoon would never be that discriminating. A tornado is going to suck up everything in the lake and the pond. It's not going to separate the genera. You understand?
Yeah, no, I used to always think, it must be a water spout that did that.
Yeah.
David Avocado Wolf always talks about that he doesn't think that there's any extinction. Like, animals don't go extinct. A world just repopulates them.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Do you want to hear evidence of that real quick in 30 seconds?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I've got 4 videos on my channel. Well, I know for a fact I've blown people's minds, because my mind was blown. But I showed hundreds of images of real fossils that can be verified. And these are fossils that are supposed to be of organisms that lived millions of years ago. And yet, I go through them all and show that every one of these fossilized organisms are found in 3D. They're flash frozen. we're talking from jellyfish and all kinds of creatures on the bottom of the ocean to creatures in forest above ground all over the world have all been found in a state of perfect preservation, frozen solid, as if they were flash frozen and then petrified. It's called the Medusa effect. And what's really interesting is that even though it's claimed that these are in millions of year old strata, every specimen I show is in my backyard. Without any evolutionary development, no changes whatsoever. It's the same crickets, the same centipedes, the same bumblebees, the same wasps, the same lizards, the same frogs, and they're all in strata, been found millions of years old, and yet they all live perfectly today. It's almost as if the construct itself is self-regulating and that it releases species back into the environment when the environment can sustain them.
Was it you that was talking about where so many bugs fell from the sky when there was no bugs?
Yes, it's one of my very first videos. It's called Insects Fallen from a Simulated Sky. And I gave many examples in the historical record where species of insects rained from the sky and rivers, like the sky was just dumping insects from a blue sky. And it's happened so many times it'll blow your mind.
But it happened when there was no bugs, when the bugs were all missing, right?
Yeah, when all the people started writing articles, talking in tea shops in England, and everybody recognized, and now the media was reporting it, and now the rodent population was being affected because the mice didn't have things to eat. Yeah, all the roaches, the beetles, the dragonflies, the butterflies, the moths, the spiders, the ants, everything had vanished in the UK. And now the scientific community was investigating it, and it's like the construct itself realized from the collective unconscious and collective conscious what was going on, and instead of correcting the problem, it overcorrected and flooded London with insects to where everybody had to spend a couple of weeks burning insects that were falling from the sky just to get rid of them.
You will eat the bugs and be happy. Yeah. Have you noticed that, I used to, when I would drive, I'd have to clean my windshield every day or two from all the dead bugs on it, and it doesn't happen anymore. I was talking to some truck drivers. They're saying that they would have to stop 2 or 3 times a night to clean their windshield, and now they don't have to do it for weeks because there's just no bugs.
I think ever since 2020, the world, you know this, I don't have to tell you this, since 2020, the entire world has fundamentally changed, and one of those changes is a frequency change, and it's affecting life all the way down to the molecular level. And all these creatures that had no problem being born in near residential areas, in the 80s, I remember, you couldn't lift a rock without seeing a bunch of doodle bugs, beetles. Yep. There were caterpillar nests everywhere in the 70s and 80s when I was growing up as a kid. Insects were a part of our world. Young boys, that's all we did was we were all entomologists. We all wanted to collect bugs and look at them. You don't find them anymore. They're almost impossible to find. And I believe it's frequency related. I believe that we're using technologies now through these 5G towers that are hurting our populations. They're the reason why we have these dead birds falling straight out the sky. We're killing the environment, not because we, the people, are guilty of doing it, but our controllers are implementing technologies that are doing it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And with all this stuff going on in the world, a lot of people say to me, Dave, why are you just talking about flat Earth? And I think it's important that, what you do is amazing. If everyone did the same thing, we'd have very little of everything. We'd only have a little of something. Right?
Absolutely. That's the whole reason we have different car manufacturers. We got to have variety.
The reason I talk about flat Earth is because, if you can convince somebody that they're a random speck flying through an infinite universe, expanding into nothing, you're nothing, we're running out of everything, or overpopulated, you literally depower that person. You keep them in a state of fear, and that's where they want us. They want to disconnect us. We are incredible, spiritual, powerful, connected beings that, have telepathy isn't even the right word. We have incredible cognitive abilities that connect us all. And what they do is they just cap it off. They put us on a ball of fear and they say, this is all that there is. There's nothing more. There's lack. There's fear. An asteroid's going to hit us. And, and if you live in that world, you literally lower your vibration so low that you cannot manifest the world that you were meant to have.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I don't see any problem with that. I just, in the end, Dave, we're just spiritual beings trying to cope with being physical, we're all trying to figure out where we came from and where we're going. And one of the biggest steps in that journey is to first understand that the world that we've been presented is not the world we're living in.
I feel like we chose to be here at this time to have this experience. I believe the way I see it is we are immortal souls, and that we're here having an amazing experience, and there's no better time to be here than right now. And I don't want to. My biggest fear in life, my only fear, is FOMO, fear of missing out. I want what's going to happen next. Every day, I jump out of bed going, "What's going to happen today in this crazy world?"
Yeah, it is a ride. There's no doubt. And since 2020, I do feel that we have entered an apocalypse period because, I mean, if we can divorce ourselves from the Judeo-Christian perspective of what an apocalypse is supposed to be and just go with the actual word itself, the word means the unveiling, the opening of the eyes, the opening of the understanding. And since 2020, there's been no greater division among the human family than what's been going on since 2020, because now we understand those who are awake are absolutely waking up and seeing everything for what they are, and then those who are asleep remain the collective, they remain the masses. And it seems that the human family is being separated, though we are being separated from the chaff. It seems to be that the dead are being separated from the living, and I'm cool with this process. It's not the process that I had imagined prior to 2020, if you would have described the apocalypse. But now that I've seen 4.5, 5 years of it, it seems to be going exactly the way it needs to be going. It's bad for those of the collective who believe the world is a bad place, and it's getting good for the people who realize that we're immortals and that this is just a place of passage.
I agree. And, you know, the amount of people that are waking up right now is very promising. A lot of people people are never going to wake up. I see the whole world waking up. This is my app. This is the Friend Finder. These are the people that are currently on the Friend Finder. They're all over the world. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So it's everywhere. Here's the UK. There's people everywhere waking up, and they're waking up new people. We've hit that what's it called? The tipping point, in my opinion. And I think that great things are coming. Great things are coming.
That's impressive. Wow.
Yeah. On here, just by the way, on my app, that I have, it's called the Friend Finder, because when you become a flat earther, you can it can be quite lonely. So these are the people around me. I can click on them. I can see their profile. I can send them a message. And people have literally become new best friends. People have gotten married. People have found these are all like-minded people, and that's what it's all about: finding like-minded people. On my app, there's a matchmaker, so you can put in your statistics, and yeah. You can find like-minded people. That's important, though. You know, listen, Jason, if I don't know, are you with a partner, or are you single, or?
Yeah,
personal question. You don't have to answer it.
I'm just out here really doing my thing.
All right, I'm just saying, anyone out there, like if you're trying to find somebody and you're awake and aware and you know the earth is flat and you know that we live in a simulation or wherever we are, it's hard to find somebody. But if you start with a pool of people that are already woke, it's amazing. So that's it. That's my pitch for the app. The app is $3. You get 95% of the app for $3 for life. And then there's $11 a year subscription if you want to be able to use the messaging, the video calls, and everything else that's in there. It's $11 a year. It's super easy. You can find it at flatearthdave.com. Easy schmeezy.
Man, that's amazing. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people you just showed. All those and all the
little dots. And just like I showed with this dielectric plane being 1% or less than 1% of the whole system, I think far less than 1% of all the flat earthers even know about my app, right? So there's a lot more than on here. Those are just the people that know about me and know about my app. I don't have that big of a reach.
Yeah. Adrian mentioned I forgot about this. The Professor Dave debacle. Listen. Yeah. Maybe Professor Dave would like to come on Archaix, because, man, I'm about to unleash some stuff that just collapses the entire scientific dating method system. And you know what? That would be a good debate between he and I, because I am no respecter the scientific community at all.
Don't even bother even asking. You're wasting your breath. He doesn't debate anybody. And, people are like, oh, you got destroyed by Professor Dave. Yeah, I went in very naive thinking, no, this guy just doesn't know. I'm going to teach him. He's like a paid agent or whatever. I don't know.
Shill.
Yeah, total shill. And the thing is, he didn't make a single point. The only thing they said, I made a comment. They were talking about spectroscopy, how they know what stars are made of. And I was like, you need a container to contain gas. And they're like, oh, spectroscopy needs a container. Well, yeah, it does. The gas needs to be contained in order to, and so that's all. I mean, they think they got me on that. It's like the dumbest crap ever. He's not even a professor, by the way. So
yeah, I'm not impressed. I've seen a few of his little interviews. I am absolutely not impressed, but he is invited if he wants to come defend the scientific position when I unleash on all this data, because I'm not, dude. There is nothing about men that claim to have PhDs. Nobody in the scientific field.
He doesn't.
I'm so well read on all the nuances, on the relative dating methods, that every single one of them have been disproven and have been disproven over and over and over. It's becoming comical. It's almost comical that people are still paying for an education for universities just to lie to them.
On the more resources page, I have a debunking the debunker section, and there's a whole section on Professor Dave, on who he really is and how dumb his arguments are. So if anybody really wants to, look into that, that's where you go.
Yeah.
So, and the reason I made the app, and people are like, oh, Dave, you're a grifter, you're selling a $3 app. I made the app because when I'm trying to explain to people about flat Earth, it's easier to show them. And then you can't find videos, you can't find images. The app makes all of that at your fingertips, super easy. I'm adding an AI function where you can actually describe a video that you remember, and it'll find it. And and also we'll be able to answer questions based, like how does circumnavigation work, and it'll find the answers and recommend the right videos for you. So again, it's a teaching tool to teach yourself so you can teach others. First, you have to teach yourself, and then you can teach others. And I made it $3, right? And by the way, $3 doesn't even cover the cost of a long-time user, because you're using data and all sorts of stuff. That's why I have the subscription. So, and the subscription, Jason, $11 a year.
That's not bad. It's not bad at all.
I try to find something cheaper. It's there's nothing. So,
well, I might have a link or a hyperlink to that. Right now, I'm building Archaix Underground because it's become necessary. I recently lost Archaix TV because on August 31st of this year, the entire player platform is going offline, and I had like 2,500 subscribers on there. I was charging $6, but this is for a lot of content that I can't put on YouTube. But anyway, I'm doing Archaix Underground, which is a lot what you were describing here, because I'm also going to have a social section where people can get together on Archaix Underground. I've already told my community everything that Archaix Underground is going to have, but there's nowhere online anywhere that those because we have a lot of Facebook groups, but I've never seen them because I'm not on Facebook. But we have Telegram groups, Twitter, YouTube, and there's other places too. But we need one place, one platform we can go to get all kinds of things. Archaix, I need the Archaix library, all my backup videos. I have a backup channel. I have a backup channel with about 900 videos on it, but it's not public. And I'm not going to make it public until something goes wrong with YouTube. If anything ever goes wrong with YouTube, I just turn on a switch and I got all my videos on a backup channel. But until that time comes, it's not necessary.
Nice. Yeah, they're gonna, they're trying everything they can to block this information. You search flat Earth, you get nonsense. You get absolute nonsense. Now, I seem to have broken the algorithm a little bit because I've gone on so many shows that are not flat Earth shows, that are even not censored shows. So just all different types of shows, and so now the algorithm gets screwed up, and they actually feed you some of my interview videos. I encourage people. I think 90% of your audience knows that we're not on a ball. Right? Yeah. If you're a simulation person, we're not on a ball.
Most of them do.
Yeah. And so for those of you that don't, just check out some of my other interviews where I get into all sorts of stuff. Let me show you. This is one graphic that I made with my co-host that I do some interviews with. about perspective, and it's one of my favorite things to show. Here is we got so I'll run you through it. Can you talk while you're off screen?
No, you can't hear me unless I'm on screen.
Oh, it's all right. I think people can see. You don't have to go off screen. So you got a boat here and you got a boat here. Now, if we're on a ball, wherever you're standing, you're on the top of the ball from your point of view, right? Because down is down. So
Right.
Everything should go down and away. Every direction should be down and away. Farther out you go, the more down and away. Why is this boat higher than this boat when it should be down and away? Are we looking up the ball and down? Right? Why is it down and away? So if you ask a glober, they'll say that, well, the water's curved. And I say, okay, well, I got a boat in a hallway. Is the hallway curved? Of course, the hallway is not curved. Right? And then they could say, well, scale, you don't understand scale. But it's interesting that the hallway and the boat are show the exact same perspective, right? It's showing what we know is flat to water, which I know is flat. Other people think it's curved. So, where is? I want to hold on a second. Here it is. So here we go. So here now I've added. Let me go here. All right, so I got the hallway, and now I laid a sunset over this. Now people are, where does the sun go? Right? The sun is not making an arc over your head; it's making a straight line. And when we do a time lapse, here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and it just follows this exact line of perspective into the distance. And it goes beyond our ability to see. It goes beyond what I call the atmospheric deck of opacity. Here's another sunset. It's just going away. It's just going away. And again, we can see this everywhere. We can see it with street lights. If you go outside on a straight street that has street lights like this, these street lights aren't going over the curve. They're all the same height above the street. They're just going away.
And good example.
If I just overlay it, it's the same as the sky. It's the same as the hallway. It all does the same. So is it just that the water's curved and it matches magically perspective, or is it just we live on a flat Earth simulation?
Yeah, well, I mean, it wouldn't even matter if it was physical or if it was simulated. Either way, it's still demonstrably flat.
Yeah. And it mattered. People are like, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday, right? Actually, your life will change once you see where you're at. You know, when you take yourself off of a spinning, wet, lumpy rock in a physics-defying space vacuum and put yourself at the center of creation, whatever that is, you take your power back. And
there's no doubt. As a matter of fact, you just triggered me to share my screen just to show one thing, because you're right. Once you understand that you're not on a globe, it changes where you're at. And by changing where you're at, it's going to change who you are. Look, I put this together a long time ago. I've posted it on Twitter a few times, but to begin a theory with a lie means everything that follows from it will also be false. So we have the scientific community has built a model based off a concept called uniformitarianism. Uniformitarianism is completely opposite from what the historical, verifiable, chronological record shows, which is the original scientific model, which was replaced. It's called catastrophism. There are no other schools of scientific thought. All scientists are separated between catastrophists and uniformitarians. And in today's world, they're all uniformitarian because they can't get funding if they're a catastrophist. One of the last great catastrophists was Immanuel Velikovsky, and you already know they demonized him for 20, 30 years. So anyway, when we are taught that we live in a world that is patently untrue, and that's not the world we live on anymore, then that means every single theory they've attached to that idea must be untrue as well. this is why it's important to me. This is why it's extremely important to me where we are. Because if we're not on a globe, then the implications are quite clear. If I'm not on a godless rock and that's going around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour, and I'm spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and I'm tilted at an obliquity of 23.5 degrees, and I'm wobbling this little hair in this 23.5 to 0.505 degrees, and I'm this little bitty tiny wobble, and all these three motions are going on, and yet all the star charts from 3,000 years ago look like the same star charts we have today. Well, I have a problem with this. If I'm not on that rock going 93 million miles away, going around the system, then that means there's something else going on here. I'm in a contained environment. I'm under a solid sky, but it doesn't look solid. It looks holographic to me, since I now know that none of that's real. And with the historical record being what it is, there was no way I could have documented so many historic anomalies, solaric anomalies, if the sun was truly 93 million miles away. Therefore, the sun must be local. If the sun is local and the moon goes over the sun in eclipse, then the moon is local. If these are local to the sky, then it explains for almost every ancient legend and tradition, all these local apocalypses and all these things that happened to one city but didn't happen to the next, that happened to one country and kingdom that didn't happen to the next. And if I'm in such a closed environment, and it's not like scientists tell me, then the only alternative is that somebody made this environment. It's no longer a godless concept. Godless being, I'm just on a tiny rock going around a star. There's a million stars out there that also have tiny rocks, and life just happened to have developed right here. And that there's alien civilizations out there, even though the Fermi paradox shows us they're not. But there's alien civilizations out there that one day are going to make contact with us. This is a godless notion, and it takes away the immortality of the human experience. But if I'm in a controlled environment under some type of dome and the sky is simulated, then this changes everything. There must be a reason that I'm here. It changes the whole fundament of the experience itself. And it makes me wonder, okay, well, if a whole entire world was created for me to experience, then somebody must have cared enough for me to experience it.
Absolutely. I saw a video the other day. I'm gonna share it. I can't share it right here, but it was a guy talking to Grok AI, and he said, answer me if I'm a brand new user. I don't want you to give me any answers based on ideology, belief in God, or belief in consensus science. I want you to your answers to adhere to strict logic, mathematical probability, and observational science. And keep your answers short and blah, blah, blah. And basically, Grok said that the idea of life coming from non-life is statistically absolutely impossible, right?
Yep.
If the Earth is 16 billion years old or 8 billion years old, whatever it is, it said that the chances of life creating itself are 1 to the 200th power or 10 to the 200th power, and we've only been here for 10 to the 16th power seconds or whatever. I think it's something like that. If the Earth is X number of billion years old, we've only been here for that many seconds, 10 to the 16th power. And they're like, it's absolutely impossible. And literally nailed it to say that there has to be a creator. There absolutely 100% has to. Then he goes, forget everything we said. I'm a new user, first time ever. And I asked the same question without any restrictions. And it literally just spewed out, we came from, genetic, but chances and evolution. It spit out all the nonsense. Meanwhile, when you hold its standards, it completely 100%, blew it away. It's really good. I'm going to actually, I'll put it on my X or whatever.
Yeah, I'm on board. I'm on board because the whole contained environment scenario has implications of its own. And when I logically process each tier of this thought process, I can make no other conclusions than that I probably volunteered for this experience. I am actually alive somewhere outside of this experience. this body that I think is really an avatar that belongs to this experience. It doesn't belong to me. The only thing real here is me. Evidence that this is a observer dependent reality is everywhere, and it's the reason why so many different people can have so many different truths, and none of us are liars. It's the reason why 10,000 different opinions about God can all be right. It's the reason why we can all have a totally different experience in the exact same environment, and our takeaways are totally different, even though we were at the exact same places at the exact same time. It's the reason why 4 or 5 witnesses to a crime are all interviewed by police investigators, and all 4 or 5 people give totally different versions of exactly what they just saw, even though they all saw the exact same event. It says this observer dependence really means that this is not a real world. It is a real experience. And that means that I'm something way more important than I initially thought I was. And that something cares for me enough to let me go through this experience and find these things out on my own, rather than just teach me straight out what this is really what this is really about.
The Globers love saying, "Oh, you flat earthers, you just want to feel like you're special." Yeah, don't you? We are special.
We are special.
We are special. Suck it up. You're talking about all of the different speeds. You know, you have to believe in that all the planets are keeping up with the sun at 500,000 miles an hour, or we're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour. We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. This is what that looks like. Ready? This is the hypersonic rocket sled. Ready?
Yeah.
Mach 8.6. Now you have to believe that we're on a lumpy rock, surrounded by smooth curved water that no one's ever seen the curve, surrounded by high pressure air adjacent to a void, a vacuum, and we're orbiting. Now, this speed is like, look, everyone go on YouTube. Don't do it now, but go on YouTube and type in hypersonic sled track. You'll see the same thing. The sound is shocking to every cell in your body, just how fast it goes by. That's Mach 8.6. We're doing 10 times that around the sun. 10 times that speed, and we're chasing the sun at 100 times that speed in curved trajectories, not straight lines. Right? So we're moving, and then we're moving in a fourth direction, even faster, but we don't feel it, we don't sense it, we can't measure it, and your senses are fooling you. None of that's happening. Right? This is what they want you to believe. This separates you from your connection to God, because if you believe this, you're severing your common sense. You're severing your connection to God.
So, having said all that, I know you're familiar with the enigmatic nature of the balanced stones that have been found all over the world.
Yes.
Let me show you a picture.
Go.
Well, showing you a picture first requires me to find it. Hold on. All
right. So while you're going, we go out in nature and we see this, like a perfect flat reflection, not a ripple. If I stopped my foot on the ground, waves would go across this lake, right? We're spinning, whirling, and twirling, but this lake is just sitting there, no problem, right? These lakes are just perfectly calm mirrors of the sky, but we're spinning, whirling, and twirling. Go ahead.
The whole thing's crazy. I'm still looking for that damn picture. I have no idea what I did with it. Yeah, I showed it to my community recently and said, "There's no way in hell we're going around the sun like that." And these things have been here for thousands of years. My community knows what I'm talking about. I just can't find it. But I got thousands of pictures in these files. I can't find it.
All right. Well, that's all right. We'll move on.
That's crazy. That's crazy that I can't find it. I just showed these in the last 3 days. But it illustrates your point perfectly. It's like there's no way. There is no way in hell that these things could all be erected like this, and yet they are. But if it was meant to be for me to show it, I'd have found it by now. I just went through 5 files, and I can't find it.
All right. You were talking about the elite know when these resets happen, and they all go underground to survive the reset. What do you think about Zuckerberg and his little bunker, just his little man cave?
They all know. They're not dumb. It's my whole Phoenix thesis based off the reset cycle. It's taken 25 years to put all this data together, and I'm always showing my community more and more of this data. But I'm also convinced because of the way that I found a lot of this material from all these old books, I believe that they've already known this. Those in the upper echelons of our controllers, they've already known all this. And ever since the 60s and 70s, you know, they've been building their underground bunkers. They're getting ready. They're getting ready for it. They know. They're not dumb.
And what do you have a guesstimate of when it's coming?
Absolutely, May 16th, 2040. Yeah, I've got. Yeah, Dave, that's highly specific.
And that is pretty specific.
It's really highly, the reason it's highly specific is because the amount of data sets that I have shown for the middle of the month of May, also the Phoenix cycles and how they fold because they're attached to epicycles, and everything is going to go down in the month of May, in mid-May, in 2040. And this isn't just me saying this. I have thousands of fact checkers. I have got people all over the world that have been trying to stump me, trying to show in some way that this can't be true, and I still haven't had a single person at all.
I've heard you say that date before. I'd forgotten it. Yeah, I meant to say this at the beginning. There's a lot of people that will discount people, and I kind of started to say it, and I was like, this guy, there's too much. This Archaix guy, it's too much. And then every time I'd watch one of your videos, I'm like, that's really interesting. And then I won't watch again for a while. Then I'll catch another one. I'm like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I haven't come across a video that I completely disregard. You know, I agree with most of the stuff you're saying. A lot of stuff I'm like, that's interesting. I don't know. But what is like? So this might be a dumb question for your community. Like, where do you plan on being? What do you plan on doing on 2040?
All right, I'm going to get back to this conversation. I do not know why I can go through all these files and not find that one picture. That blows my mind. So anyway, that question is right up my alley because I have a whole playlist called We Immortals playlist where we get away from the real serious calendrics, the apocalyptic, the systemic resets, all the horrific stuff that we have found in the historical record, all the cycles, epicycles. We remove that from the field when we entertain We Immortals videos. In my We Immortals videos, it is all about the immortal soul avatar construct relationship. It is all about who we really are in the field, that we're here experiencing things, because as immortals on the outside of the construct, there is no way to develop. And that these stories, such as Jesus's parable of the prodigal son, is a good illustration of what's actually happening here. There are souls on the outside of the construct that have decided to remain there. But there are the prodigal souls that have decided to participate in these constructs because the learning and the experiences are incalculable compared to those who just obey. And that the oversoul is actually building world builders. But before you can qualify to be a world builder, a soul that has the ability to go into your own co-creator relationship with the oversoul and build your own construct in the ways that you want to do it, you have to go through several that have already been built by other souls. And you have to understand the usage of the imagination, of empathy, of your sense of humor. These are all divine attributes. And that once you have matured to whatever it is the oversoul is looking for, that's when you can make your exodus. And when you make your exodus, like in the Christian mysteries, which I'm not a Christian, but the Christian mysteries weren't Christian either. They borrowed those from the old Greek mysteries, the Sibylline prophecies and Sibylline oracles. And though it was very big that you would receive a new avatar. It says, I would give you a white stone with a new name. A new name is a new identity. Because once you go through an experience like this, the soul absorbs all things that happen to it. When you leave this construct, you are leaving with every memory of every avatar, of every life sim that you ever lived while you were here. All the experiences, all the interpersonal relationships, everything you take with you. While you're living your life sims, memory is attached through the brain to the avatar. The avatar belongs to the construct. It doesn't belong to you. But when the soul finally breaks free and leaves the construct, memory is holographic. you take all the experience with you. This is what the meaning is in the old mystery systems when you're given a white robe. That white robe is a metaphor for a whole new avatar, but that avatar contains a new name. The new name is a new identity. What is attached to that identity is everything learned, everything experienced by virtue of empathy, intuition, imagination, and humor while you are in that construct learning. And the souls that do not participate, those are the ones in the prodigal son narrative of Jesus that never left the Father. So they never went out and left home. They never starved. They were never persecuted. They never lost all their possessions. Nor did they ever go whoring. Nor did they ever experience all the dark and more evil aspects of the human experience. They didn't have to dance with the devil just to keep from being devoured by demons. These are the ones that went out into the world, experienced everything they needed to experience, no matter what it was, and they came back. They decided to come back, and when they did, the Father gave them a new robe, gave them a new ring, threw a great party, and none of these things were done for the souls that never left. This is the story of Jesus's parable of the prodigal son. So this is what we talk about in We Immortals playlist. In the We Immortals playlist, it's all about the human experience is actually that of an immortal being who is passing through a construct, and there just may be hundreds of millions of these constructual experiences just like this, because God is eternal. And if God is eternal, that means the creation is unending, because you can't attribute to an unending being something that is a singularity. Therefore, the creation is a continuity. And if the creation is a continuity, then the creator is always going to need more and more souls to fill up more and more positions, because the creation is unending. Hope that wasn't too much.
That's good. I see one of your mods put the Immortals playlist in there. I saved that. And
yeah, that's a totally different aspect of the Archaix research.
Yeah.
That's not debatable with me. I call out professionals. I call out other authors. I call out people who consider themselves to be experts in their field. But when it comes to the We Immortal stuff, that's not up for debate, because this is subjective information. It's very spiritual, and there's nothing to debate. You either accept the information or you don't. But as far as all my chronological and historical and material, all that's up for debate. I take all challengers. I'm not even worried about it.
A lot of what you're talking about there sounds like some of the stuff that Darius J. Wright speaks of. Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about him.
Okay.
You don't want me to talk about
okay.
Mr. Wright. We're gonna leave that. We're gonna, out of respect for him, we're gonna leave that alone, because my Archaix community already knows where I'm going with that.
Okay. Comment removed.
Yeah, I got history with that guy.
So try thinking. What's up? Is concerned about the predicted upcoming rapture on the 23rd and 24th of September. I don't know anything about that.
Hold, so stop right there. Where did you get this information from?
This
is September 23rd
and 24th.
Wow, where did you get this information
I'm
from?
looking at your chat on your YouTube chat.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about a rapture or nothing like that, but I have a video I'm about to do, because there are about 40 different Hollywood movies that all single out September 23rd. There's about 40
I saw a montage of that. Yeah.
I have a whole list of those movies, and I have new data to add to that. And I was planning on doing a video pretty recently to remind my subscribers that I don't know what year it's for, but there's a tremendous amount of predicting programming right here, all for this exact date. That's funny you should mention that. I didn't know it was in the chat.
What do you think about the concept of that? They always tell us what they're doing, and if we notice it, then it doesn't happen. Like if we notice something, they're like, all right, we can't do it. They realized it.
Okay, there's an implication to that, because what you're describing is revelation of the method, and what you're further implying is that revelation of the method is specifically designed to stop whatever is predicted. And if that's the case, then you are now in a position that's very close to what I have been telling my community. I pissed a lot of people off recently, Dave, because everybody wants to believe all the elite are totally evil. But I've been trying to reason with my community and explain, guys, we're starting to see some evidence that this whole all the elite are nefarious and evil and all that may be a part of the play, and that something else is going on, and not all the elite are evil at all. what you're describing is revelation of the method. And if it's true that it changes the game, then that means they are revealing things so the collective will become aware of them. So the collective's awareness affects the construct. The construct reflects that back as a non-circumstance, because it never really happened. It was imagination anyway, but so many people are thinking about it, it now stops the event. If that's the case, then that means revelation of the method is something that is a benefactor protocol and not something designed to harm us.
Amazing. I meant to ask you this earlier when we're talking about the sky. As a kid, I remember far more stars in the sky. Is that just because the skies are all grayed out with particulates, or are there less stars in the
I can answer that.
Sky?
Hey, I'm going to hurt your feelings with this. Hey, I consider you a friend.
I've not hurt my feelings. I'm asking
Dave,
the question.
I'm going to answer the question. You're old, Dave.
My eyes are bad?
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is you're old. One of them is your eyes are bad. And two, the infrastructure of the world for artificial lighting between when you were a kid looking at the sky and the world we have it today is fundamentally changed. So you did see more stars in the sky when you were a kid. Absolutely. But the artificial lighting is it's a real thing, and it's reflected all over. I can barely see this. I'm in Willis, Texas. I'm far away from a big city, but I can barely see the stars. When I traveled to New Mexico, oh my God, it's beautiful. The heavens are beautiful in New Mexico. When I come here to Willis, Texas, I can't see shit.
So the more particulates in the sky over the populated areas because of whatever they're putting up in the skies.
I don't know if it's particulates. I'm thinking it's light reflected back from all the artificial lighting of all these cities. Because Willis is close to Houston, and Conroe and the Woodlands is 250,000 people. So I think it's reflected light, man. But
maybe.
But this doesn't change the fact, Dave, you're still old, man.
Yeah. That's all right. I'm in better shape than a lot of 30-year-olds. So
yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
So we sent up a balloon years ago with 4K cameras looking up in Arizona, and it was a perfectly clear night. You can see the Milky Way and everything. And as the camera got higher and higher, it should get clearer and clearer because one, whatever light there is or pollution is going to get above that. And in the heliocentric model, the stars should get brighter and brighter and clearer. You agreed?
I agree, yeah. That's the way it should be.
But when it hit 50, 60, 70,000 feet, all the stars disappeared. They all just weren't there anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, now, so the optic apparatus made it to a certain altitude to where this kaleidoscopic holography just vanished. That's just more evidence that the sky is holographic.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying, I don't know what it is. Your explanation makes sense. The heliocentric model has zero answer for it. It's got nothing.
Yeah.
I'd
say so. That's all the answer I need. We actually have an apparatus that went high enough to where the star. This makes sense of some of the early NASA balloon footage, which shows no stars in the sky.
Right.
Interesting. That is interesting.
Oh, man. When people quote, science or whatever, NASA. The best question to ask them is your source a credible source? Right? Because they're quoting stuff from NASA. Like, is NASA a credible source? And even a Glober will admit that NASA doesn't have credibility.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anybody who watches that golf cart wrapped in tinfoil doing wheelies and jumping on the moon and the dust is going up. Anybody who watches that and still think that's a real thing, where was the golf cart in the lander? It doesn't even fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I read the book Dark Moon, and it's a NASA whistleblower book. But Dark Moon made some points that you just can't get around. And one of those points was that the NASA manifest was made public. Every single nut and bolt, every single item that the astronauts took with them on the Apollo deals, everything was itemized. And one person went through the list and said, "Hey, is this the full manifest of everything y'all took to the Apollo lunar landings?" And they said, "Yes, this is everything that was taken." I said, "Well, how come there's no lighting equipment anywhere on this manifest?" But there's double shadows on the
Yeah,
on the lunar pictures.
let me show you that in a second. This is the moon buggy, and it's got like crappy beach chairs. Look at those chairs.
Yeah, dude, this is it's an insult to anybody who would believe. Listen,
Right.
if you still believe in that right there, you deserve everything you got coming to you.
And back in 1970 or whatever it was, this was $38 million. But in today's deflated dollars, you can get this bad boy for $37 million.
That's crazy. The whole thing is just so. They're all actors, just like our politicians. They're all actors. Hollywood. I used to think all the actors were in Hollywood, but during the Biden administration, it became so obvious that all these political stooges are actors. Even the stages, they even messed up on the staging in the Oval Office. Most of that stuff wasn't even filmed in the real Oval Office. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
This is a picture of the moonrise over a dark moon. Where's the sun? Well, the sun's up here because it's lighting up this and it's lighting up that, and it's lighting up the top of the Earth. Where's the moon? Why isn't the moon lit? This is the Earth rising up from behind the edge of the moon, allegedly.
Where is the moon?
Where is the moon? Where's the moon? And if this is the right video, yeah. So check this out. So, whoops, let me go back. You got the sun is over here, and you can see he's lit up, and his shadow goes this way. So as he bounces along, because that's what you do when you're on the moon, you bounce, and the camera's panning to the right, panning, not that far. And now we see him, and his shadow's going that way. His shadow's going that way. And then he's going to run over here a little farther. We're just going to go a little more to the right, a little more.
Yeah.
And his shadow's now going this way.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, how'd that happen? So watch this. This is him in the middle here. And when he turns, you're going to see in his visor 4 lights. See 1, 2, 1, 2. And then when he turns, you're going to see 3 and 4. And give him a second. So you see the 2 lights right here. 1, 2. Here he goes. Ready? 3 and 4.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So is it something like this? Perhaps.
Dave, you should go to Amazon and order the book called Dark Moon. In Dark Moon, it's got original NASA photographs, and it shows how you remember in the NASA photographs, it's got the little tiny crosses for perspective across the deal. Okay, well they show that when the NASA photographs were taken, there was a set. They had to remove the outer perimeters, but you don't know those perimeters have been removed. But when you look at the photographs before the perimeters were removed, you see a 1969 Dr. Pepper bottle right there on the moon. Right there.
I did see that.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
I did see that.
It's so crazy.
This is the new 2025 lander. Look, what does it have? Like a flat screen TV up here? It's like 10.
So they're using gold foil instead of tin foil now.
Yeah. And they got the beams are a little sturdier. The curtain rods, they're using stronger curtain rods, maybe broomsticks. And then people just believe it. People just believe this stuff. It's absolutely amazing.
I really believe that there's a lot of conspiracies out there for which I never indulge. There's too many other people, I can't bring anything new to the table on them. But when it comes to something of this epic magnitude about NASA and all that, I really believe that it's not so much our place to expose all this and just make a career of doing it. I think these videos are good when every once in a while we just discuss it. But I honestly believe that the collective is meant to stay blinded. I just don't.
I think that some people are not meant to wake up, but some people are. And before this, I was doing a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, where we looked into all the big deceptions, the thing that happened in New York, the thing that happened in Connecticut at the school, and the thing that happened at the marathon, and I called it Exposing the Big Three, and because I figured, wow, wait, these are so clearly not what they said, and people wake up, people see that though, and they go right back to sleep. Then I found Flat Earth, I rejected it, and I kind of didn't want to talk about it, because I thought we were going to lose our whole audience if I did. But then I realized it's the truth. I got to do it. And I found out when you wake up to Flat Earth, you never stop thinking about it. There isn't a day in your life that you don't think about it before your feet hit the floor, when you get out of bed.
Dave,
Yeah,
because it's exactly what I just said a minute ago.
yeah,
It's because when you realize you're not in the world that you've been trained to believe that you're in, it changes who you are. And
right.
you're going to spend all your time wondering, okay, well, who am I then? If this world's totally different, then it means I'm different. What
Yeah,
makes me so special that the entire apparatus set up against me is trying to convince me that I'm in this world.
yeah.
Why all the energy? Why all the deception?
So I think that flat Earth is a stepping stone to the archaics work, right? Like you go to a newbie and I can convince them of flat Earth quicker than you can convince them of what you're doing, because they're not even going to be able to understand what you're talking about. But once you take a step off of the globe, put your feet on the flat floor, then you're open and you can hear everything else. So I kind of look at I have a great video. It's called if you use the video search on the app, it's called The Stairway of Disbelief. And it's like, you can't tell somebody the earth is flat or that we're in a simulation. You have to start off with,
Baby
hey,
step.
Oswald didn't kill JFK. Start there, and then work your way up. Hey, 9/11 wasn't what they said, and you work your way all the way up to flat earth simulation, center of creation, whatever, whatever you want. And it's a short, the ladder is getting shorter because of the apocalypse. People are starting to wake up. So this is the most amazing time to be alive. And I think that, I love what you're doing, and I'm doing what I'm doing. And I kind of dedicated my life to this. I walked away from everything that I built my entire life around, and to do this, because I felt this is what I need to do.
Well, what did you used to do, Dave?
So I was in the solar power business. I worked at a big solar power company, kind of taught them how to do commercial solar. Then that company was sold to a residential nationwide company. And so I left there and started my own solar power finance and development company with a couple of partners. And it was doing great. But my truth seeking was getting in the way. It was literally getting in the way. And I had to make a choice. What's that?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, it was getting in the way, and one partner, he couldn't care. He's like, it's whatever, and the other partner, which he's right. He's like, Dave, it's interfering with your work, because I was more interested in the truth. And so I said, I can't, I went to college, I went into corporate America, I left corporate America, started my own company, I was making tons of money, had lots of free time, and I'm going to walk away from it all, everything that I was taught. Everything I did in my life was for power and money, up to that point. And then I was like, I'm going to walk away from all of this. How am I going to support myself? And then I went home that night and I was paying my bills, and the app had just started, and my money came in from Apple. And when I was done paying my bills, I had $1 left. Exactly. And I was like, huh. And then I'm thinking of leaving, and I asked God for a sign. I said, I need a sign. This is crazy. I need a sign. And God gave me 2 signs. First, he gave me one. Now, I'll tell you what the sign was. I go into the office, and my partner goes, hey, we're doing a residential job. And let me tell you something. Residential jobs are a pain in the ass. You got to deal with the husband and wife. You're putting up 20 panels versus 5,000 panels.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I go, really? He's like, for who? He goes, the Clintons. Wow. The Clintons in New York. And I'm like, really? And I look up and I go, can you give me another sign? And and then the next thing he says, it was later that day or the next day, I forget. He goes, oh, by the way, all the rooftops that we have easements on rooftops. He goes, we're gonna be leasing out 5G antennas. Where people can put 5G antennas because we have the rights to do that. And I'm like, okay. All right, I get it. And I resigned.
All right.
Yeah. And so here I am. And, and this is the first time in my life that I don't do this for money. But that's all I get accused of, that I'm doing it for money. You're selling your app. Why isn't the truth free? Archaics, why don't you do everything for free? Yeah. I mean, you put out a ton of content for free
all the time. It's always those who provide the human family the least value who always try to devalue what those of us who are trying to do our best doing. I see it all the time. I basically ignore it. But you know what? People get triggered. They get real triggered by other people's success, even if they don't know what it took and how much we had to sacrifice to make that success happen.
What I found is that the last thing on my list for my motivations is money. It is the last thing. But of course, money is important. You can't even you have to pay for the power to, to run your computer, to have these streams and whatnot. But it's the last thing on my list. And I know that because I'm doing what I feel is the right thing to do, that God does provide, and it's amazing. Literally, God delivers amazing. Every day is just absolutely amazing, and it's not because there's some divineness behind what I'm doing. That's
I
all
agree.
I'm saying.
So, that's a great takeaway because in the end, to me, it's all about my relationship with the Oversoul. And the reason I'm so giving to my community, the reason I give them, because time is a commodity. People don't review it that way, but I spend a tremendous amount of time just making sure that my community gets to watch something new every other day. And time it can be really expensive. So, but it's because of my relationship with the Oversoul that I do this, because I feel that every soul out there in the field who's hungering for information is an extension of the very Oversoul that I'm doing. So whatever I'm doing for another soul, in essence, I'm paying back to God. So it's good to hear that you have the same perspective, that your relationship with God is also of the same, to where it's now you're beyond the good and evil. Right. You're beyond the mammon. You're beyond the chasing the riches, chasing the almighty dollar, because this is what it's really about. I could be doing many other things with my life, and I'm not. This is what I've chosen to do.
This is what you chose. This is what I would do in my spare time if it wasn't my full time. This is what I do 24/7. And I was going to say I had a point. The way people support me is they buy my app. But what are they doing? Are they supporting me? Or are they literally supporting their own truth journey? I'm making it easy for you. I'm giving you all the information so you can educate yourself and educate others. I made it as cheap as possible. And so let's say, hundreds of people get the app just from hearing this. We got 2,000 people watching, and a lot of people, I don't know about his app. Let me get his app. Great. That's great. I'm really happy about that. I appreciate it. But then when I get that one email going, Dave, I thought Flat Earth was the dumbest thing ever. I saw you on Archaix. I started looking into it, and oh my God, that's what brings me joy. That's what brings me joy. Like, I'm like, welcome. How can I help you? And
I get a lot of good emails too. It's great.
Yeah, I'm actually saving the emails, the gratitude emails from all of the flat earthers, and then the evil emails I get. You're a piece of crap. I'm saving them. I'm going to make a book where the right hand page is flat earther and the left hand page is globe earther.
That's a great idea, man.
I have
That's
hundreds.
a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a good idea. That would be an awesome book.
I have enough. I have enough to do it. I just have to get the time to do it.
At the top of each left page will say love. The other one will say hate.
Yeah, and they're so funny. There's so many the Globers. Basically, when the Globers send me like the horrible emails, I just reply back, "Thank you for your contribution to my book."
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and close this out, David. This has been awesome. This has been awesome.
Just the last thing, everything that I talked about today is at flatearthdave.com. The app, my appearances are there. There's all sorts of stuff there. If you're most of your audience is awake to Flat Earth, but if you're looking for good Flat Earth videos and you don't have the app, that's fine. Just go down on my website. It says Crash Course. There's a big banner, Crash Course. And all of those videos are hidden from you on Google. Start watching them. It's better than Netflix. When a lot of people get home, they're like, I want to watch a movie tonight. Go to that list. These are great movies. Whether you're a flat earther or not, they'll blow your mind. And if you're not a flat earther, you will be by the end of the movie. So there's all sorts of stuff on there to watch. And, and then also there's links to my videos. This is, like on the app, if you go to the more resources page and click interviews right here, it goes to, here we are. You're at the top of the list. And these are all the interviews that we're live right now.
Man, that was awesome.
Yeah, so everything's there, and you can find my interviews list. I think it's on the website also. So there you go. I appreciate it.
My moderators will please put Flat Earth Dave's website link in the description box. I know you guys have been doing it throughout the video.
They've been doing my YouTube, which is great. Appreciate it. But flatearthdave.com is
in everything. The description box is where you'll find it.
Yeah, everything is linked there, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your inviting me on your show.
Well, yeah, you can thank Ian, because I was so impressed with Ian when I was in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Because Ian took me out to dinner. He took my dad and I out to dinner, and he was a really good communicator. And he just dropped your name, and I said, you know what? About 3.5 years ago, man, I said, hell no. I said, man, that dude's crazy. I ain't even talk to that guy.
Yeah.
And then but I said I would really like to have him on my channel now. And Ian's the one that made this possible.
So Ian, real quick on the Tesla machine, all these weird. I went to Mexico, and it was the first night there. I'm exhausted. We ended up being at a barbecue, and then the food didn't show up for 3 hours. And I found this Tesla machine. I was like totally impressed with it. They showed it to me, and then like the next day, I had met Ian at the barbecue. He introduced me to the people that make them. And then it turned into this whole thing. All of these circumstances just happened. I ended up getting one. They're not cheap. They're not cheap. And it's changed my life. And I've been helping some friends out that have some aggressive things that going on in their body that side effect is they disappear after they use the machine. So if anybody's interested in talking about that, you can reach out to me. But again, they're not cheap. They're over $10,000.
All right. Well, look, I'm most certainly going to be inviting you back. Maybe a round table with some other people. You might want to suggest,
fantastic.
Might want to suggest some other people who would come on and just, it doesn't have to be about flat Earth, because I mean, you've already demonstrated that you're knowledgeable on other topics as well. So it's been great, but I do have something I have got to do. It's almost 2:30.
All right.
And this I had a blast. This is great. We had a great time in the comment section. I've been monitoring a little bit, but I really don't have to do that, Dave, because I have some of the best moderators on YouTube. I really do.
Yep. All right.
Great.
All right, Jason, thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm definitely looking forward to speaking with you again. You let me know when. I'll be there.
All right, man. Later.
All right. See ya.
That's Flat Earth Dave. Been waiting for a while to talk to him, but you can go to the description box and you can see the link to his website will take you everywhere you want to go with him. I will be having him back on the channel. There's no doubt about it. And right now, like I said, I've got something else I've got to do. One of them is use the restroom because I am full of coffee. That was a badass deal. I will see you guys later. Hit this awesome outro, and I'll see you on Twitter later on. Love you guys.
Hey, everyone. If you enjoyed this interview, please help support my work and help wake up others by referring or gifting the app to at least one person today. By doing that, you're going to help wake people up and help me to continue doing other interviews like this. With the censorship out there that's going on, it's very difficult to find relevant information. And the app, as you know, brings people to the truthful information of our world. So help support my work, help support your efforts in waking up friends, family, and strangers. Gift them the app or just recommend the app. And let's make 2025 the year Flat Earth breaks free. Check the links below for information on how to gift the app or just refer the app to others and use your referral code to earn Dome cryptocurrency and a free subscription. Thanks.